A national flooding conference was held today in Cardiff. Representatives from Welsh Government, Natural Resources Wales, local authorities and several engineering companies was present to address the risk of floods and the precautionary projects involved. I went to find out more. Floods hit Toyin in North Wales in 1990 and caused severe damage. Thousands of homes were evacuated and people were left homeless. 25 years later, the government is much more prepared to take precautionary actions to reduce the risk of floods.
I think one of the points with flooding is that it might not happen regularly to people, but when it does, it can be quite disastrous in its extremes, and certainly a lot of damage which occurs, which is why it's important that we have conferences like the one today where we share knowledge and we share expertise on how best to manage floods.
At a local level, one of the measures was to cut down the trees in Rothbrook Gardens in order to improve flow in the stream and reduce the flood risk. But these measures can be controversial. NRW, Natural Resources Wales, has put the plan on hold following local protests, but some people feel the authorities are not being of much support to them.
They are our local councillors. They should listen to what we care about. And it's clear that we've had a very lively group of people come together with a similar feeling of concern and outrage in a way, you know, because we've met in the Pennyland Library and we've had them, Natural Resources Wales, come to those meetings. But all we have gained is this time in order to, you know, make alternative investigations.
At today's conference, the focus was on the risk of flooding. NRWs say engagement with local communities is important.
When we are considering managing floods in a location, in whatever it is that we do, we try our very best to engage with communities around what it is that we propose to do. In some communities, I think people are already from a point of view where they've seen flooding and they know that there's a problem. In other communities, sometimes the flooding might not have happened recently, but nonetheless it could happen, because, you know, we all know when it rains, it can be very specific as to where that rainfall actually occurs.
Is habitat creation and biodiversity gains.
Government says it's important that people living in flood zones are aware of the threat to their communities and homes.
We all feel an emotional connection to our local parks or neighbourhood, and I think if people see trees being cut down, it's why are they being cut down when we know that actually trees can be used as part of flood defences. And I think that comes back to actually now, and I know NLW have been working very closely with the community groups about where they go from now on that, and that's now so that's for NLW to deal with that. But I think it shows actually how the need to make sure that we work collaboratively with community.
The hope is that Wales would be much more prepared for the floods in the future with efforts of conferences like these.